it going?
Nice Matthew.
Matthew, Gabby, nice to meet you. Welcome.
You just ask you sign in and enjoy.
We have some snacks,
Snacks.
goodies, got a presentation in a bit. It's the whole shebang.
No, I work with several as an accountant.
Oh, those little chicken bites are good.
They are. I feel like they must put just the right amount of salt. Like I feel like they
Just something,
tested it.
right? Or like in the seasoning, probably like in the breading. There's just something about it.
Yeah.
Something about it. It's really good.
Yeah, it's just that brain part that's like, this is good.
Right?
Yeah.
Wait, we're live. We are actually, all bartenders on here, so.
It's feeling very
Right.
Yeah, you're right, you look great.
technology.
Okay, I didn't share this in all the areas.
No.
For all the organizers.
Yeah. But
Well,
we all
I
like
told the truth.
live and breathe nonprofit.
Tweeting it.
By the way, I work for the city, so one of my coworkers, she wanted to come through and then she told us about, this.
This is Carol.
I think I've seen you at events in the past. I mean, not elsewhere.
Possible.
And you said you were with the city?
Yeah, it was code department specific.
Okay.
With the outreach portion. So we're just educating people on safety,
Okay, when you said code, since we were in the tech space, I thought tech code.
Yeah, that's
There's a different kind of
safety,
code,
yeah.
safety codes, safety codes, okay.
Basically, in most cities, they have codes, buildings, and residences, and all. So we try to make sure those are followed. But what we do is very reactionary, meaning that people all report like a code violation that they see. Maybe a balcony might be falling, or stairs, you name it, tall grass,
Yeah,
and basically that's what we come in.
okay, yeah, sort of like answering the citizens' call to check this out. And then you get it rectified somehow.
Yeah, and we just work with whoever's the owner of the property to.
Good thing.
This tractor right here is the best one so far.
Good civic thing.
So yeah, we just wanted to just see what y'all had to talk about. It seemed really cool based on what we saw on the, I think it's the website.
Yeah, that's good. Is that so? That's how you know about it? Is
Yeah.
through the website? Yeah. We have monthly presentations and then the nonprofit tech club Austin website. Come out, describes them for each month and everything. And then the next month we're not sure.
Canva, the graphic design.
Yeah, we use that sometimes.
Oh, you use it sometimes. Oh, that's good. That's good. She's gonna have some tips or.
Yeah, she uses, she used to work for Canva, actually professionally, and then she's split off to do her own social media company. So she's gonna just do quick hits on how to use it and how to,
What is community take?
for free,
That's
basically.
my biggest. And they do
It comes in handy for a lot of
training.
people.
I've never used that. I feel like I
People
should.
in.
I use Adobe Spark,
Real special.
so it's the same, it's a different platform, but it's that free graphic design stuff.
People who don't have any experience or
Like I do the graphic design portion for our department, and
experience.
sometimes
So
we'll
there's
have
lots
people
of
ask me
projects
to
for them
do
with,
stuff. And I might be working on a lot of projects, so sometimes I'll recommend it for us.
that has,
Usually, you'd be surprised the amount of graphic designers, or the
mostly
capability
to
of graphic design
use
capabilities
its
of
own
people.
because
They didn't even know about it.
get a phone.
That's good. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, helping just a civilian, I guess, make it happen.
They don't know how to use it.
Yeah.
So, tablets are another thing.
Well,
And,
our
But, you know, let's just,
Same thing for them, it's a very security line, except the one that's the golf.
that's where I am. Carolina, my kid.
You guys not so much. Look, I'm sharing my activity tracker. Look, I went here and here and here and here. Oh, it's there's no reason for this here.
Are they here? Are you, good, you found it okay?
Another, $50 million to move the base because we want to have the record of how far you ran. You're doing it.
Oh, hi, Nani.
We have the sign-in sheet. And then we have snacks, please enjoy, please get some snacks in the back. Make yourself comfortable, we're gonna get started in about a minute.
Thank you for your patience.
Grab some water and get something to eat.
Do you want to come up?
The water's just
Oh, yeah. So I think I'll go up and sometimes we go around.
You know, I have a bag, so I'll just bring some. I'll just bring about 6 minutes, so don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good business practice.
Yeah, and then I say about what nonprofit tech club is, and then I'll introduce you, and then please welcome.
Sweet, that's perfect.
Okay.
Let's do that.
Okay.
I'm going to stand off here and then.
That'd be cool. That's what we'll do. Okay.
See you.
Okay.
I'm gonna get a few more waters, just in case if you want to come, because we're just.
So would folks like to get started?
Thanks for.
Welcome, welcome. Please do grab some food and enjoy the food and make yourself comfortable. And I think everybody's signed in. If you haven't, please do. And we are streaming live, by the way, and this will be set up for recording, or YouTube recording later. Welcome to the Nonprofit Tech Club Austin. I'm Susanna Erler, I'm a co-organizer. Carolyn Appleton is another co-organizer, and Dale, who just walked out for a second, is another co-organizer. And we have monthly meetings and presentations about subjects that are of interest to nonprofits and tech communities. And before I introduce today's speaker, I'll just tell you a couple things about Nonprofit Tech Club. We are sponsored by the Nonprofit Technology Network, or NTEN, and NetSquares. They're co-sponsors, they're national co-sponsors. And Trianon Coffee and Capital Factory are supporters. Thank you to them. And now I'll introduce our speaker. She'll be talking about engaging communities of color. Gabriela Desporte is a mentor and a program coordinator at local nonprofit Latinitas. Latinitas, yes? Okay. Latinitas. Gabriela is also one of the NTEN and Google Fiber Digital Inclusion Fellows. It's a national program of emerging leaders. Other facts are welcome, and please sign in and enjoy some food and make yourself comfortable. We just got started. Oh, we were going to go around the room.
We can do that. You know, we can do that whenever I get started.
Okay. Gabriela was born and raised in Austin and earned a bachelor's in Latin American Studies and Sociology from UT Austin, and she loves spreading the message of the importance of digital literacy and access. Please help me welcome Gabriela.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it. Hi. So welcome. Today I'm going to be talking to y'all about engaging communities of color and how that looks like with Latinitas, because that's a really integral part of our program. So I think just to kind of get started, even though I'm related to half the room, if we can just go around and say our name and our title at the position we work at. So I can start. My name is Gabriela Desporte, and I am the program coordinator at Latinitas. Maybe we could start in the back row.
I'm Monica Brown, I'm purchasing manager at UT.
I'm Jennifer Lopez, and I'm Gabriella's mother.
Yay.
And sales director for
Good
the
job.
sale company. Thank you.
I'm Nora Desporte. Great that she's my granddaughter. And I'm a warranty administrator at Jack Marley River in Austin.
I'm Brett Smith, and I'm a line cook.
And Matthew, the tech startup has wearable technology helping people deal with the sleep problems and activity tracking.
I'm Benson. I'm a graphic designer at the code department.
I'm Julia Lopez, I'm a semi-retired from UT, and that's my grandmother.
It's a full-time job.
It is.
I'm Lorenzo Lopez. I'm fully retired, retired from the state of Texas Board of Parties and Paroles, and that is my granddaughter.
Not related. Although I did meet her today at a meeting, so that was great. Cami Griffiths, I'm the executive director of Community Tech Network. It's a nonprofit based out of San Francisco, but I have an office here in Austin. And I love all things digital inclusion, so I'm excited to get to know Gabrielle better.
And I'm Carolyn Appleton, a volunteer with N10 I've been a volunteer for about 10 years. I'm currently working with TechSoup as a consultant on a disaster resilience curriculum for nonprofits in hurricane impacted areas. So if you know anybody, any nonprofits or otherwise, there is a link available. It's all free, funded by the Center for Disaster Philanthropy. So it's kind of a fun thing.
And I didn't say where I'm from. I'm Susanna Erler. I am the director of Greater Good Strategies. It's a nonprofit consulting firm.
Awesome. Thank y'all very much. So, to kind of get started, I have a lot to talk about to go over with y'all, so I kind of divided up everything into this table of contents. So, talk a little bit about myself, Latinitas, what the Digital Inclusion Fellowship is with N10, the why we're here, so the big push as to why we're here in the first place, right? What our parents need, talking more about the Digital Parents Program, so how we are enacting it within Latinitas programming, and then communicating with our community. Sounds a little redundant, but talking with your community at large. And then we're going to do an interactive portion. I'm not going to tell you what those questions are, but you will see them when they're ready, and then we'll wrap up. So, to get started, well, I'll get through this quickly. I don't like talking about myself. So, I was born and raised here in Austin, Texas, and I graduated from UT with a baccalaureate in Latin American Studies and Sociology. And something that I really discovered that I really loved to do when I was in my undergrad and I was writing my thesis, I was really interested in the way that technology influences our everyday lives, but then also how that affects specifically trans women, trans people coming from Central America and Mexico into the United States seeking asylum. So I wrote my thesis pertaining to that. So the title of my thesis is called Frontera Digital, Understanding Biometric Border Surveillance and Transgender Migrants. I was really curious to understand how biometry, or the study and the data collection of really insensitive and really important information about your body, so that includes things like your fingerprint, iris scans, face scans, and how that affects transgender migrants, because they essentially, their gender is being used as a weapon against them, and how their bodies are being weaponized. And it, somber topic, so, on a lighter note, I really discovered that I loved being a mentor and learning new technology and just to try new things. This had been something that I became really passionate about because of just wanting to understand how we can use tech for good and using it as a medium and as a method to help empower others instead of to take that power away. So, in a nutshell, that's what I did. So, this is mostly a slide for my family members who continue to ask me, what do you do, Gabby? What is your job, right? So, this is a slide that talks all about that. So, of course, I work for an organization called Latinitas. We're a nonprofit organization that has been around for about 17 years. We were founded in 2002. and our mission is to help empower girls to innovate through media and technology. We actually started off as a class by our co-founders, Laura Donnelly and Alicia Rascon, and they were really interested in kind of unpacking the ways that women of color were being represented in the media. And so years go by, it actually becomes a business, it becomes a nonprofit, and we have served in multiple places throughout the nation. So of course we have our headquarters here in Austin, we've done programming in El Paso, we do conferences in San Francisco, so we've already done 2 conferences where we deliver the same types of program to their organizations. We've done programming in the Rio Grande Valley, we've also done programming in New Mexico, so we're being in these heat spots in the map, right? So we want to be able to cater and deliver our programming to people that need it most. And since our origin, we've served over 30,000 girls. That's really significant. And to kind of break it down, because I am the program coordinator, these are different types of programs that I oversee and help deliver. So our biggest part of our organization's programs are, of course, our after-school clubs. So last semester, we were at 15 different campuses, as far north as Renberg, so Walnut Creek, Barrington, that area. And then we also had schools as far south as Menchaca, so where Blazier and Perez are, with most of our schools being on the east side, because that is where our office is located. All of our schools are Title I, so that means that they receive additional funding from the district to have people like us come in and deliver new programming to help them have that access. And then we do weekend workshops, so we do a lot of the same things that we do in our after-school clubs, but we do them during the weekends, primarily at the Austin Public Library, the Ruiz branch. We've also done programming at St. John's, so delivering a couple hour-long workshops where parents and their whole families get to explore these topics. We have semesterly conferences, so the next conference we have coming up, I'll talk about it a little bit more later. It's called Startup Chica. It's where students work together in groups to create a business from start to pitch. So it's really Shark Tank style. They get to work together to solve a problem within a certain topic. So let's say their issue is transportation, education, women's rights. They have to identify a problem and then they have to create a solution. And so they pitch it to a panel of judges at the end of the day. And we just wrapped up our summer camps. So we had 4 weeks of programming. First week, Cine Chica. So they did a lot of filmmaking, of course, screenwriting, and we did a bunch of virtual reality with them. And the second week, that's Design Chica, so design thinking, also fashion. We went to the ACC Fashion Incubator during that time and learned about the department. Third week, we did Power Chica, so advocacy, innovation, and social media campaigning. We went to Facebook for that field trip. And then lastly, we have Healthy Chica. So we focus on mindfulness activities, so not only just like general health and nutrition, but also mindfulness. They did a aromatherapy workshop, which was really cool because the room smelled like really nice afterwards. And we also went to electronic arts and we talked about mindfulness in video games. So summer camps, and then this is kind of a new category that we are working on. So we of course have our certification programs. A program that I have been working on and is kind of my baby is the Co-Chica certification program. It is a free program specifically for high school students between 8th and 12th grade. So they enroll in this free program, they learn the essentials of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and they become very strong beginners in website development. And they receive a stipend, they receive resources, and other people, mentors that they can talk to. So with that being said, all of our programming specifically, before I get into the types of programs, or I'm sorry, the different types of curriculum that we do, it's all created with the intention of empowerment. So what does it mean to be a girl of color in media, or as a web developer, as someone in tech? So keeping all of those in mind and framing them with this empowerment mindset is what we do. And then of course different types of media literacy and tech curriculum that we do. These are things like digital citizenship, so how do I stay safe on the internet? We also do, of course, a lot of filmmaking, coming back to our original origin for our original mission about media and media literacy. We also do a ton of stuff with virtual and augmented reality. This is probably my favorite part. So the kids learn how to shoot and edit videos in virtual reality. That's super rad. I wish I had that when I was younger. And then of course we do workshops with 3D printing, so we use the 3D printing pens where they're able to draw out something that is a physical 3D object. And then of course we have a 3D printer. They learn how to fly drones and how to get video from those drones. And then of course coding. So we integrate coding in a lot of different types of curriculum. So whether that means they're using robots or working directly on making a website on Wix, there are tons of different avenues where they can find ways to tell their stories with these mediums. So that's what we're all about in a nutshell. So why Latinitas? Why are we here? Why is this important, right? So women only comprise about 20% of the entire tech workforce. I want you to think about that for a second. And Latina women only comprise 2% of all tech jobs. That went up from 1% over the course of about a year. Regardless, you're thinking about millions of people that are in these tech jobs, but we're living in Austin, in Texas specifically, of all places, that has a very high Latinx Hispanic population, but we're not seeing those same numbers being represented. There are I think it's definitely over 50% of the next graduating class in ASD schools are Hispanic and Latinx, and only 2% are in tech jobs. So it has become imperative for us at Latinitas to help move the needle. What we mean by that is wanting to create more programming to put girls into a pipeline to have more representation of women and Latinas in technology, media, and STEM industries. And of course, we're living in Austin. There's a tech industry building on every corner. We're a capital factory. We're living in this hub that is full of opportunity. So it's, from the last numbers that we received, it's the #1 place to live in the United States, can't argue with that. 2nd for entrepreneurs and startups, 6th in the tech talent market. So our thesis is that by investing in girls to be the next generation of courageous leaders, we help move the needle to bring better representation of women of color, especially Latinas, in the media and tech sector. So just wanting to really hammer that home, because what we're doing at Latinitas is helping put girls into this pipeline to create these new seats at the table for them in these tech jobs, right? So that's why we're here. And to talk a little bit about the N10 and Digital Inclusion Fellowship Program. So I am very lucky and fortunate to be a part of the 5th cohort of the Digital Inclusion Fellowship Program. And this program supports professionals and other nonprofit organizations who have connections within their own communities that are most impacted by the digital divide. So they don't have access to technology at home, or they have to go somewhere else to use it, and want to create or expand tech literacy programs. So for this 5th cohort, we have members that come, of course, from Texas. We have members from Ohio, Oregon, North Carolina, and Utah, and they all work in different professional backgrounds. Many of them actually come from libraries, because a lot of them, what we use are like pop-up computer labs. That's what other members of the Digital Inclusion Fellowship Program have done in the past. And there's also a member from WIC. So we have a lot of different types of diverse backgrounds, all with the same mission, to create new programming that helps support learning and growth for communities that don't otherwise have access to it. And so of course our goals for this cohort is to create computer and technology literacy training programs for adults to bridge the digital divide. And so, talking about what that kind of looks like, so why we're here. So to kind of reiterate our mission again, so our goal is to help empower girls to innovate using media and technology. So we deliver all of this programming to our after-school clubs, to our summer camps, conferences, workshops, the like. But the question remains, where do parents fit in this equation, right? Where are the parents? They drop off their kids, they see what's kind of going on, right? They have a general idea of what we do. You know, it's sometimes you'll hear or you'll overhear a student. This is something that at least happened to me when I was still as a program leader, before I became a program coordinator. You know, some of the parents are like, oh, like, how was daycare today? Or how was, like, your after-school club today? And I think we kind of lose a little bit of that merit with with the parents. And so thinking more about this theme of access to technology, it's limited. So, but that also means that parents don't have access either. So we're not able to stay as connected with our parents as we would like to. And so then, like, if there's kind of this miscommunication about like what we do and we're not able to kind of stay connected. So with the Digital Inclusion Fellowship and the parents of Latinitas, what program can we create specifically for our parents? And so our kind of like big overarching theme, our question became, how can we increase access to technology for our community and help address this digital divide that we can see? So this all comes back to our audience, right? So the parents that we serve, they come from socioeconomically disadvantaged backgrounds. They don't have access to the same types of tech that some of the other students' friends might. And so we're able to not only understand that, you know, oh, like we should move the needle for the students, but the parents also kind of have to come with it. You can't just kind of go here. You have to address the entire family, right? And so that became kind of our question with the addition of the fellowship that we had to answer to. So thinking about the things that our parents needed. So during summer camp, I administered a bunch of parent surveys for the parents to take during the showcase when the parents were there present in the room. And we noticed two trends. So two things that our parents absolutely need are access and training. So based off of some of the survey results that we received, almost every parent owns a smartphone. That's great. They have a smartphone. They're becoming a little bit more accessible. But just because they have phones doesn't mean they can do the same things that they could do on a laptop. Has anyone tried to ever fill out something on your phone? Yeah, I feel you. You don't have the same type of functionality using your phone to fill out a form or maybe even pay a bill or do something that is really important, let alone using an app, because having an app associated with it too might kind of add this extra level of confusion. The parents that we surveyed, about 30% of them have desktop computers and about 60% of them have laptops at home. But thinking about the parents that don't have any computer at home, they only have a smartphone or they only have a tablet, right? Thinking about the computer technology training that we could provide, but how can we go from the classroom to the home, right? So that became kind of another barrier that we had to address. So we're already delivering these after-school clubs for our students, but how can we also extend that to the parents? Like, it would be too much for the parents to come in like during the same time. What can we do to address that? And then another thing that our parents needed a lot was training. So they are they were trying to seek confidence in learning new skills on their own terms. So what can we do to equip these parents to become confident in learning new things that pertain to using a computer? And so some of the things that they wrote down were they really wanted to learn a lot about Microsoft apps, so Excel, Word, PowerPoint, Google functionality, the entire G Suite, and then almost every parent wrote this on their survey. They're concerned about privacy and safety. So they really wanted to understand more about, like, you know, how can I be safe online? There's this fear associated with it, right? And so they also, what we found is that they would feel more comfortable if maybe we had a student teaching parents. So introducing a two-generational approach. So having students teach parents instead of the traditional classroom setting. It's different whenever you have someone that could be like your daughter teaching you how to use a computer versus just kind of being told what to do, and it makes it less interactive, but instead you kind of feel more alienated. So introducing that two-gen approach, and then also having bilingual assistance. This is probably the biggest point. A lot of our parents only speak Spanish, and a really challenging portion of this is, you know, they may be already seeking stuff like this, but it's just not available in Spanish. And as a consequence, they don't go to these things. So they have this void that they need to fill. So those are addressing some of the needs that the parents have. So here's our solution. So this is my baby. It is the Digital Parents Program, or the Padres Digitales program. So it is a series of both workshops and an 8-week program designed to equip parents to learn essential computer literacy skills, so things like using email, learning about digital citizenship, how to be safe online, and how to connect to new opportunities for their career. Also talking about our very beginning students, our very beginning adult learners, how to use a keyboard, how to turn on the laptop, how to, the very, very basics, the things that we kind of take for granted and using a computer. And especially what makes this program special is that it is a free bilingual program that uses a 2-gen approach to accommodate as many parents as possible. So I wrote down on this flyer, we have our 8-week-long program. So parents that participate in the 8-week-long program are eligible to receive a gift card stipend, and they earn a certificate of completion. They get connected with people that can help them excel in a career that they're interested in. So the 8-week-long program is a consistent time for parents to come in to specifically gain all of these skills so they can become very strong beginners in terms of computer literacy, because they don't have that access at home. And so, you know, whenever we're learning how to use a computer, there's kind of no formal lessons. We were fortunate enough to have just a computer there and being able to mess around with it and, you know, learn how to send emails for the first time. So giving them that access. Same thing with the weekly workshops. So these are a little less structured. So these are literally office hours that parents can come in, and if they have a question on something that's related to using a computer, they can come in and somebody that speaks both English and Spanish will be there to answer them. It's going to be me, but also other volunteers that will be present. And then on those dates as well, so they go for 2 hours each, and between 5:30 and 6:30 there is a themed workshop. So one day, like let's say we're going to talk about how to upload a picture to Google Photos, or we're going to learn how to do a function in Excel, or we're going to learn the essential parts of a computer. What is it? What is the entirety of this computer, right? So these are topics that are generated by the needs that the parents are giving us for these themed workshops. And then after that, it's just free time for the parents to come in if they have any questions between 6:30 and 7:30. And they can have those questions answered just as office hours within our office at Latinitas. And some things that parents will also gain out of the program, they'll get this new applicable knowledge on how to use a computer. They'll be able to network to opportunities in career advancement and access to technology resources, and of course a certificate of completion after finishing the program. And you know, this, of course they'll get all of these things, but in the end, we're living in 2019. Technology is only becoming more and more advanced. So what can we do to keep parents on the same page and continuing to grow with the times, digital parents? And so, I had to put a meme in. So talking about communicating with your community, right? So since our parents don't have access to much tech aside from using their phones, communication digitally can be challenging. Not every parent that maybe has an email address, checks it very often, still has access to it. They're not using their email addresses, so it can be really difficult to kind of tell them what opportunities are coming up if it's only through email. And we've discovered, and I'll talk about this in a second, but we've discovered that parents are better reached through phone calls, flyers, and other tangible handouts. And this helps us build rapport and retention for programming, because then they're putting a name to a face. They're not seeing this wall of text, and they're not like just kind of like, oh, I received this email, I don't know what to do with it, versus seeing someone that's like part of Latinitas saying, you should go to this, I think I can see you here, learning all these new great things. That helps build that interpersonal rapport with the person that you're talking to. And of course, talking on the phone feels more personal, and parents are more likely to answer doing so. And I mean, I can attest to this as someone who has grown up in a Mexican family. We like to talk on phones. We love to chismear. We like to, it's a very social thing that we do. So thinking about the cultural aspect of it, how does your community engage? How does your community want to be talked to, right? So an example, when I first started out at Latinitas, I was in charge of putting together a program at a public housing site, specifically Georgian Mater. That's a housing site that's located in Runberg. And so of course this is a recruitment part of it, and I was like, okay, so I need to get this program off the ground. What am I going to do to start? So I first asked the site coordinator, oh, can I have a list of emails? She's like, yeah, you could. And I was like, okay, so I started emailing, getting no responses. Then I had to start getting creative with it. Okay, maybe I'll start going door to door and seeing if any parents want to have their daughter attend this program. got some people interested, but what ended up really working was mailing out flyers to parents that had students that were eligible to attend and making phone calls. So I discovered that I really needed to assess first, I needed to figure out how my community, how this housing site wanted to be talked to. I can't just kind of be like, here are my methods and here's how I'm gonna do it, versus, okay, like this community responds much better to getting a phone call or receiving a letter in the mail, because then it feels more personal. I think they were really more responsive to it because they were able to see the merit that went behind it, because they see the person from Latinitas wearing the purple shirt there at their community center, versus just kind of like getting email after email, because then they're like, oh, this is spam, right? So that became a lesson for me and something I want to pass on to y'all. Think about the way your communities want to be engaged, okay? So, with that being said, now it's your turn. I'm done talking for a minute. So, I want you to chat with the person next to you and ask these questions to each other. So, what do you do to engage the communities that you serve? So, even if you're not maybe overseeing or managing any of these things, how would you want to talk about these questions? So, how do you cater to their needs if you have this imaginary community? Let's say you're trying to do exactly what I'm doing. You're trying to develop a computer literacy program for a specific community. How do you cater to their needs? And then, do you have new ideas on how to engage your community after we kind of started discussing this, right? So maybe what are some other ways that you can brainstorm that you can take with you to talk to your community at large? So I'm gonna set the timer for 5 minutes. I want you to find someone new. That might be kind of difficult. I might have to split you up in the back. But just talk to someone, answer these questions, excuse me, and let's say you're trying to do the exact same thing that I'm doing. And go.
What about you?
Yeah, that's true. We're just talking about the basics. Yeah.